our people in the Middle East, our faithful believers who are struggling against the takfiriyun, against the enemies, against the enemy in Gaza. You keep them in prayers, inshallah. I will keep it very, simple, inshallah. Within 30 minutes, I will wrap up everything. I would like to ask those who would like to join the lectures just to move forward, and those who would like to perform their prayers, stay back and keep it quiet, as I, inshallah, will allow you to continue with your prayer. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. No, I need a louder than this. It will energize me. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. قال تعالى في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ألف لام را كتاب أنزلناه إليك لتخرج الناس من الظلمات إلى النور بإذن ربهم إلى صراط العزيز الحميد. The Holy Qur'an is a book of guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed this great book to our Prophet to guide the nations, to guide the world, and to liberate them, to get them from darkness to light. The month of Ramadan is the season of Qur'an. Al-Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam says, لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ رَبِيعٍ وَرَبِيعُ الْقُرْآنِ شَهْرَ رَمَضَانِ. For everything there is a season, and the season of Qur'an is this great month. The Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He talks about the month of Ramadan, He correlated with the Holy Qur'an. It says, شَهْرُ رَمَضَانَ الَّذِي أُنزِلَ فِيهِ الْقُرْآنِ. This great holy month has gained its sacredness and holiness out of the fact that this Holy Qur'an has been descended and brought to this world on this such holy night. On such night, Laylatul Qadr, إِنَّا أَنزَلْنَاهُ فِي لَيْلَةِ الْقَدْرِ. Therefore, it is incumbent, it's prudent that we enlighten ourselves a little bit about this great holy book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first thing that this verse says, it says, كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ. God says it is a book that has been descended to you. When you look at the Islamic literature, the Islamic doctrine, you see that Islam has introduced multiple terms, several terms and vocabularies that did not exist before, during the time of Jahiliyyah. They are unprecedented. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has introduced them to people, such as the word Qur'an, for example. Before Islam, the Jahiliyyah, they were not familiar with the word Qur'an, vocabulary Qur'an. To them, it's meaningless. What is Qur'an? Other words such as Imam also did not exist before. The vocabulary of fiqh or tafaqquh, meditation about the Islamic regulations and jurisprudence. Those terms, even some names, they did not exist before Islam, during the Jahiliyyah. For example, the holy name of our Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, did not exist before Islam. Ali did not exist before Islam. Hassan and Hussein, those names were invented during the time of Islam. Why would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring these vocabularies and these new terms? First, to distinguish Islam from the rest of the cultures, especially Jahiliyyah. To sever any ties with Jahiliyyah. Meaning that this concept, this new religion has new terms, new vocabulary that is unrelated to the time of Jahiliyyah. Second, the Jahiliyyah itself were incapable of understanding or incapacitating the Islamic terms, Islamic principle. Were unable to have a capacity for Islamic principle within their own vocabulary and language. Therefore, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduced so many vocabularies. Among them is the word Qur'an. Did not exist before the time of Islam, at the time of Jahiliyyah. What is Qur'an? Qur'an means something that gets recited over and over, that we get to memorize it through repeated recitation. Have you ever seen a book throughout the course of human history that is read as much as Qur'an and is still considered to be fresh and new, and people recite it every year? At least we recite it once every year. There are many of us who recite it more than once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Which novel you have seen, which book you have seen that the humanity recite over and over and still stay refreshing and inspiring as Qur'an? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has named this holy book Qur'an due to its repeated recitation. The more you recite, the better it will be, the more inspiring you become, the more intelligent, the more bright you become. This is one of the beauties of Qur'an. The other name for Qur'an is Kitab, as in this ayah, God says, Kitabun anzalnahu ilayk. What is Kitab? Kitab in Arabic means book. You see, brothers and sisters, when you want to preserve something, book meaning something that is, Kitab comes from the word kataba. Kataba meaning writing. If you want to preserve something, and you want to immortalize something that will stay eternal for the rest of history, you have to corroborate that. Document it, make it well documented. When something is well documented, it stays over the course of history. 2 characteristics of this holy book. Number 1 is Kitab, written at the time of revelation. And the second one is the repetition of recitation. Reading and writing in this holy book. That is, you see that this Qur'an, which is a miracle of the Prophet, has stayed over a long period of history, and inshallah will stay until the end of this universe, until the day of judgment. These are the 2 criteria. So, one meaning of when it says book, one meaning it is that this book, during the time of the Prophet, was complete and was introduced to Muslims to recite. There are so many people ask, when was this Qur'an was compiled in the way that it is compiled now? We have these questions. There are narrations, and those narrations sometimes they oppose each other. Some narrations they contradict each other. Some narrations say that the Qur'an was compiled and it produced in its current version, after the demise of the Prophet, during the first Khalifa. Other narrations say no, it was in the second Khalifa's era when it was written. Others say no, it was during the third Khalifa. They are all contradicting each other. The reality, brothers and sisters, I don't go into the narrations and ahadith and explain this, but what common sense say, when God says a book, meaning that the entire book, which is compiled and have been introduced, you don't call sheets of paper, one paper here, one sheet there, few verses there, you don't call them book. Book meaning that something that is coherent, complete, between 2 covers, cover to cover, is considered to be a book. Our ulama, our scholars, if you refer to the book of Al-Bayan for Ayatollah Khoy, he says that the Holy Book was written and compiled in its current version that we have during the time of the Prophet. That's why the Prophet would tell people, read, recite the book. Doesn't he tell them recite the verses or recite the chapters, the surah, or the ajza, the divisions of Qur'an? No, he tells them recite the entire book. Well, the entire book cannot be scattered. It's all collected and piled in one complete book. So one meaning when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says kitabun anzalnahu, meaning that this book was compiled and finished and complete during the time of the Prophet. Other meanings for book, as the ulama say, they say that any record, you know, every single man, every single human being has his own profile, has his own archives. We have our own records. We have our own credits. You know the credit history that we have? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made credit history for each one of us. There are two angels who sit down and write, you know, every single thing we do. Every single word we say. Those are all written down, recorded. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this holy verse, it says, وَكُلُّ إِنسَانٍ أَلْزَمْنَاهُ طَائِرَهُ فِي عُنُقِهِ وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا. We have made every human being, whatever he does, whatever he says, those words and actions are written, they are held to his neck, meaning that they are tied with us. How? In a book. In a book that he says, وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. On the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings us those books. وَنُخْرِجُ لَهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ كِتَابًا يَلْقَاهُ مَنْشُورًا. This is going to be an open book. Our records will be opened. And we will look into what we have done. It does not miss any single thing. As the ayah says, وَوُضِعَ الْكِتَابِ فَتَرَى الْمُجْرِمِينَ مُشْفِقِينَ. All the criminals are so scared and frightened. They say, يَا وَيْلَتَنَا مَا لِهَذَا الْكِتَابِ. What kind of book is this? لَا يُغَادِرُ صَغِيرَةً وَلَا كَبِيرَةً إِلَّا أَحْصَاهَا. Anything we have done has been written in this book. Who writes it? The two angels. مَا يَلْفَظُ مِنْ قَوْلٍ إِلَّا لَدَيْهِ رَقِيبٌ عَتِيدٌ. Those two angels that are considered our guards, whatever we do, they write down, they corroborate it. They put it down on papers, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِنَّ عَلَيْكُمْ لَحَافِظِينَ كِرَامًا كَاتِبِينَ. They take notes, they write down, يَعْلَمُونَ مَا تَفْعَلُونَ. Whatever you do, they record it. Now on the day of judgment, it depends on our status. If we are heavenly people, we go to heaven, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us this book in our right hand. Tell me, here is the book, take it with you. You go to heaven. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ بِيَمِينِهِ فَسَوْفَ يُحَاسَبُ حِسَابًا يَسِيرًا وَيَنْقَلِبُ إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِ مَسْرُورًا. Someone who takes this book in his right hand, with his right hand, this guy is a passing. He get a passing break, immediately he goes to the heaven. But God forbid, if someone belongs to Jahannam, how does he get his book? Listen to this. This is a terrifying ayah, brothers and sisters. It says, وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hand us our book. We will take our book from the back, not in the front, from the back. How? The narration says that our hands will go inside our stomach, gets out from our back, and Allah will hand us the book in our left hand. وَأَمَّا مَنْ أُوتِيَ كِتَابَهُ وَرَاءَ ظَهْرِهِ فَسَوْفَ يَدْعُو ثُبُورًا وَيَصْلَى سَعِيرًا. This man will be tasting the hellfire. It is this book that we do. There is a dua, brothers and sisters. there is a prayer. If you are persistent on this dua, it's very simple. You can do it every day. If you are persistent on this dua, inshallah, you will grant this book in your right hand. This is when you make wudu, when you wash your face, when you wash your hand. This is when you wash your right hand. You say, Allahumma a'tini kitabi biyamini wal khuld fil jinan fi shimali wa hasibni hisaban yasira. If you're persistent on this dua, the literature says that inshallah you will be considered among the people of Yamin. So this is the second meaning of book. The other meaning of book, meaning the book of creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created this universe, has created based on a manual. He has made the manual, and based on this manual has created this book, has created this universe, which does not leave out any single thing. Anything that takes place in this universe, it is again written in this book. As it says, وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. These are the meaning of books. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, كِتَابٌ أَنزَلْنَاهُ إِلَيْكَ لِتُخْرِجَ النَّاسِ. You extract people from where? From utter darkness to light. How Qur'an guides? How Qur'an becomes a liberating force, liberate us from our troubles, our own miserable life. إخواني رجاء أخواتي أترجاكم رجاء خلال دقائق إن شاء الله أنا أخلص المجلس بس حافظوا على السكوت please brothers and sisters. If you can just keep it quiet for no more than 10 minutes. I guarantee you inshallah in 10 minutes we will be finishing the presentation tonight. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. How Qur'an guides us, how Qur'an is a liberating force, has set us free. You see, brothers and sisters, number one, the mushrikeen during the time of Jahiliyyah, they used to worship idols. What were those idols? Those idols were all man-made, from different fabrications. Qur'an ridiculed this fact. It says that you are worshipping an entity that you yourself has a say in its origin, has a say in its maintenance, and when you don't like, you can destroy that. That entity cannot be your Lord. How would you pray to something that you have created, and you maintain, and eventually you bring to an end? This doesn't make any sense. The problem is that the idol worshippers, they would make the idols, those statues, which were some made from rocks, some from wood, some from brass, some even from dates. Those farmers would make their idols from dates in the morning. As it gets late, during the evening, they all gather around this idol and they eat this idol. They eat the dates. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ridicules this. Qur'an ridicules this. It says not only this is an insult to your sanity, insult to your intelligence, it is even insult to your self-esteem. When you bow, when you become humiliated to rock, definitely you will be humiliated to anything else. You won't have self-esteem. Qur'an came with its force to liberate people from the shackles of idols. Therefore you see Muslims in a very short period of time, before they used to be attacked, Arabs used to be attacked from every part, from every angle and aspect, and become slaves. But right after Islam, the Arabs, in the form of Islam, they have expanded in a very short time. They went all the way to the Atlantic Ocean, from Morocco all the way to the borders of China. Why? Because Islam has introduced self-esteem. Qur'an has given them self-esteem. In one big story, when the Muslims went to Habasha, they ran away from the idol worshippers in Mecca, they went to
Habasha, where he used to be, a Christian monarch, was just the priest, everybody bowed for the monarch except Muslims. The monarch asked Jafar ibn Abi Talib, who was among them, told him, don't you bow for your kings? Jafar told him, we don't bow to anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is how Qur'an has given them dignity and self-respect, and this is how they have excelled. So this is one form of liberation. The other form, brothers and sisters, that has liberated their minds. People used to live in superstitions, believing in myth. Qur'an came to wash this one away. Tell them the only way you will succeed is through knowledge, through meditation, through thinking. If you look, this verse more than 50 times is repeated. Ya'qilun. Ya'qil means meditation, thinking. This is how Islam came to change the mind of people. When you look at Qur'an, you see it makes an association between knowledge, science, and faith. They go hand in hand. The more knowledge you have, the more faith you have. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. Meaning that the only people who fear God are those who are knowledgeable, who know the knowledge, who have the facts of this universe are within them. يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ درجات. God would raise those who are believers, but the ones who are more knowledgeable, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will even raise them for more and more. This is the second kind of liberation. And third one is Qur'an has released us from our own commanding soul, our own desires. You know, it is very difficult that you get rid of your inward. We have two kinds of enemies, an outward enemy and an inward enemy. The inward enemy is much tougher and more resilient than the outward enemy. Qur'an came to save us and to salvage us from our own commanding soul, the one that pushes for worldly desires, for indecencies. How? I will give you an example when I finish my talk. You see, brothers and sisters, Qur'an came to Muslims during the time of Jahiliyyah. At the time of Jahiliyyah, drinking wine and alcohol was rampant. Everybody, every household, no household was immune from drinking intoxicating agents. When Qur'an came, asked them to abandon this bad habit. It says, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا إِنَّمَا الْخَمْرُ وَالْمَيْسِرُ وَالْأَنصَابُ وَالْأَزْلَامُ رِجْسٌ مِّنْ عَمَلِ الشَّيْطَانِ. These are filth of shaitan. Abandon it. Give it up. Turn yourself away from alcohol. This nation that was built on drinking intoxicating wines and alcohol, all of a sudden they became against it. They become the fighting nation against alcohol. That's it. With a single verse, all Muslims stopped completely in the entire swath of Muslim nations. No more people could drink. Why? Because Quran came and talked to their internal soul. I will give you an example here in this country. Back in 1920, this biggest nation, the leader's nation in civil society and free world, they could not maintain this. Back in 1920, there was a law introduced to ban alcohol in this country. If you look at under this banner, it's called Temperance Movement. Temperance Movement was done by religious denomination to boycott alcohol, to forbid alcohol and outlaw it in the United States. They even introduced the 18th Amendment in the United States Constitution against usage of alcohol. The production, sale, and consumption of alcohol was prohibited. They spent more than $60 million at the time against alcohol. More than 9 billion papers have been written against alcohol. More than 500 people lost their lives due to this banning of alcohol. But eventually, in 1933, they reversed the whole thing. They introduced the 21st Amendment to allow alcohol again. Why? Because they could not fight this internal soul. Qur'an came with a single word, single verse, have, renounced drinking, and people have followed through. But realities, when you look at realities here in this country or in any country, you see they have difficulty in achieving this. Why? Because Qur'an was looking at the internal soul. He has salvaged this internal soul while others could not. Brothers and sisters, the whole story, the whole lecture is based on this. Recitation by itself is not enough. Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, on his last minutes, on last day, when he gives his advice, he says, Allah, Allah fil Qur'an. Be careful about Qur'an. Take Qur'an, but he does not say recitation. He says, La yasbaqkum bil-'amali bihi ghayrukum. Adopt it. Make it your own constitution, make it your own manual, and work on it. Not only by a recitation, or you keep it in the shelf, or you kiss it, or you bring it in wedding ceremonies. No. This is doing the service to Qur'an. If you want to achieve something, if we want to prevail, if we want to be victorious, it is the time when we adopt our Qur'an. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the wisdom, the ability, the capacity, and the faith that we become the followers of Qur'an. We make it our own constitution. We make it our guiding book. Allahumma ighfir lil-mu'minina wal-mu'minat والمسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات تابع بيننا وبينهم بالخيرات إنك مجيب الدعوات إنك قاضي الحاجات إنك على كل شيء قدير وصلى الله على